Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Mila, and after 15 years working in the skies as a flight attendant, I've walked through almost every major city you can think of. I've seen beautiful places, rough neighborhoods, and more than a few sticky fingers at work. You clicked on this video because the title promised something bold. Thieves hate this travel gear, zero thefts in 10 years abroad. And I know what you might be thinking right now. Zero thefts? Really? Maybe you're assuming I'm about to recommend those bulky money belts people hide under their shirts, the ones that are uncomfortable and obvious. Or maybe you think this is just another video pushing anti-theft backpacks you've already heard about. But here's the truth. This isn't luck, and it's not about hiding everything you own. Over a decade and a half of professional travel, including long layovers in high-risk areas from Naples to Bangkok, I've kept a perfect zero theft record by using psychology and gear that make me a terrible target. Thieves don't want a challenge. They want fast, quiet, low-risk opportunities. My approach is about becoming high friction and low reward. When a thief scans a crowd, I want them to look at me and instantly decide it's not worth the effort. This video is about moving past obvious tips and adopting the mindset and tools of experienced travelers that criminals actively avoid. These strategies come from pilots, security staff, and real near-miss situations I've witnessed firsthand. Together, they form layers of defense that make theft inconvenient, risky, and unrewarding. If you want to walk through crowded markets, ride packed subways, or sit at a cafe without constant anxiety, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, if you want more practical travel security advice, packing breakdowns, and real stories from years in the air, make sure you subscribe now. I focus on solving real travel problems. And tell me in the comments, what worries you most when you travel? Your passport, your phone, or your entire bag? Those answers shape what I cover next. Let's start with the first piece of gear thieves truly hate, the faux expensive camera strap. The faux expensive camera strap works because it exploits how thieves think. Most travelers hang expensive cameras from thick branded straps that loudly advertise names like Nikon or Sony. That branding is essentially a price tag around your neck. For a thief, that strap signals fast money. One quick slice, one grab, and they disappear into the crowd. That's why the gear thieves truly hate is the opposite of what looks valuable. I use a thin, cheap-looking paracord-style strap with no branding at all, the kind that looks like it came from a discount bin. What they don't see is the internal steel wire hidden inside the cord. To a thief, it looks like a low-end camera not worth the risk. If they try to slash it, the blade fails. That moment of resistance is enough to cause panic. They rely on speed and certainty, and when that disappears, so do they. That single second of friction stops the crime completely. I witnessed this firsthand years ago in a crowded square in Rome. A group of teenagers began bumping into tourists, a setup I'd seen many times before. One of them had a small blade ready, and I watched as he went for the camera strap of a tourist walking just ahead of me. The blade scraped the fabric, but the strap didn't break. The thief froze for half a second, realized something was wrong, and vanished instantly. The attempt failed because the strap wasn't what it appeared to be. Since that day, my own camera strap has always looked cheap and forgettable, even though it's reinforced internally with metal. It's not about being invisible. It's about looking like too much effort. That same philosophy applies when you're sleeping. When you're in a hostel, on a train, or staying in a budget hotel, your luggage becomes an easy target. Thieves don't want to open bags quietly. They want to grab and go. The gear they hate is a multi-point cable lock system. I carry a lightweight steel cable lock that allows me to tether my suitcase or backpack to something immovable like a bed frame, pipe, or bolted-down desk. I also thread the cable through all the zipper pulls. The moment a thief sees a bag physically attached to the room, the opportunity collapses. They can't just pick it up. On top of that, the locked zippers add extra time and noise. Even 15 extra seconds is enough to make them move on. I learned this lesson during a long layover in Frankfurt while staying at a small transit hotel. I secured my roller bag to a metal desk using my cable lock and threaded it through the zippers. Late at night, I heard a faint scraping sound and opened my eyes just in time to see a shadow slip out of the room. I had mistakenly left the door slightly ajar earlier while making coffee. They saw the bag, saw the cable, and didn't even try. Cutting a steel cable in a quiet hallway is too risky. They weren't looking for a challenge. They wanted something effortless. Another mistake travelers make is keeping all their valuables in one place. When a pickpocket succeeds, they get everything at once. Thieves hate travelers who split their valuables. I carry 3 separate wallets, each with a different purpose. The first is a decoy wallet kept in an easy-to-reach spot like a back pocket. It contains a small amount of cash, expired cards, and useless IDs. If confronted, I can hand it over instantly. The second is a slim day wallet hidden in an internal pocket with 1 active card and limited cash. The third is emergency storage, holding the majority of my cash, passport, and backup cards secured elsewhere. This setup ensures that even if a theft attempt succeeds, the damage is minimal and my trip continues uninterrupted. I learned just how effective this split system is while moving through a packed market in Istanbul during a short layover. The crowd was tight, shoulder to shoulder, and I felt that familiar, almost weightless pressure near my back pocket. Anyone who's experienced it knows the sensation instantly. Because my decoy wallet lived there, my body reacted before my mind did. I shifted, turned slightly, and the pressure disappeared. Later, I checked and found the wallet partially lifted. The thief assumed I'd noticed and backed off. Even if they had succeeded, they would have walked away with less than $20 and a stack of useless cards. My real money and identification were secured inside a zipped interior pocket where no casual hand could reach. The decoy doesn't just protect your valuables, it attracts the attempt away from what matters. That same principle of visual misdirection applies to electronics. Laptops and tablets are among the most stolen items while traveling, not because they're easy to steal, but because they're easy to identify. A sleek laptop bag or a bright modern sleeve silently announces value. Thieves scan crowds for those signals. The gear they hate is what I call the sleeve of shame. I carry my laptop in a plain, slightly worn fabric sleeve that looks like it holds old paperwork or school notes. It's dull, scuffed, and completely forgettable. Inside, it's padded and reinforced with anti-slash mesh, but the protection isn't the point. The real defense is that no one looks twice at it. When given the choice between a glossy leather briefcase and something that looks boring and messy, thieves always choose the obvious prize. Another high-risk moment for travelers is sitting at a cafe with a phone on the table. Snatch-and-run thefts happen in seconds, often by someone sprinting past on foot or bike. Leaving your real phone exposed is an open invitation. The gear thieves hate is the dummy phone. I carry an old basic phone that still powers on but isn't connected to my primary accounts. When I'm sitting outside, that phone goes on the table, sometimes in a loud, silly case. My real phone stays secured in a deep pocket or crossbody bag. If someone grabs the visible phone, the reward is minimal and the risk remains high. Most of the time, the attempt never happens at all because the device looks unappealing. Bag zippers are another weak point. Many travelers don't realize that standard zippers can be opened silently with a pen or sharp object without breaking them. The gear thieves hate is anything that turns a zipper into a problem. Small zipper security clips, or even basic split key rings linking the zipper pulls together force a thief to use both hands and spend extra seconds undoing them. That delay is everything. In crowded spaces, time equals exposure. I once watched a coworker narrowly avoid losing his laptop in Paris because his zipper pulls were clipped together. The thief couldn't separate them to pop the coil, cursed under their breath, and walked away. Even something as harmless as a water bottle can be used against you. Thieves sometimes knock it loose as a distraction, counting on you to look down while they reach into your bag. I secure mine with a retractable tether. It prevents grab-and-run thefts and eliminates a common distraction tactic. The theme is always the same. Reduce reward, increase effort, and remove speed. That combination quietly protects you long before a theft ever begins. That same logic carries over when you're behind a closed door, because hotel rooms are not as private as people assume. Most travelers trust a standard deadbolt and assume that's enough. In reality, opportunistic intrusions happen because thieves rely on silence and surprise. The gear they hate is a simple wedge-style doorstop alarm. It slides under the door and does nothing until pressure is applied. The moment the door opens, even slightly, the wedge triggers an ear-piercing alarm. This isn't designed to stop a professional break-in. It's meant to destroy stealth instantly. Noise is the enemy of crime. When silence disappears, so does the intruder. I learned this lesson in a budget hotel during a layover in South America. There had been rumors of staff entering rooms while guests slept, and although I didn't know if they were true, I trusted preparation over optimism. One night, the alarm shrieked without warning. I jolted awake as the door handle rattled, followed by hurried footsteps running down the hallway. Whoever it was assumed the door was only dead-bolted. The alarm changed the situation immediately. It confirmed the risk and ended it just as fast. That cheap piece of plastic protected my uniform, my documents, and my peace of mind. When you're not in the room, hiding valuables properly becomes just as important. Most people use the same predictable places: sock drawers, under the mattress, inside the closet. Thieves know all of them. The gear they hate is anything that triggers disgust or disinterest. I store backup cash and spare cards inside a sealed plastic bag filled with dirty laundry. The bag is clearly labeled with something unpleasant, and inside, beneath the clothes, is a small false bottom container holding what matters. No thief wants to rummage through used socks. Even housekeeping avoids it. Discomfort is a powerful deterrent. Another overlooked vulnerability is the visibility of a crossbody bag. Bright, fashionable bags worn openly across the chest are easy to identify and easy to target. Straps can be cut, bottoms can be sliced, and contents can spill out in seconds. The gear thieves hate is what they can't see. I use a thin, neutral-colored RFID-blocking crossbody bag worn under a jacket or thick sweater. It sits flat against my body, hidden by fabric and weight. If someone can't locate your valuables visually, they can't plan an attack. When I need access, I step aside or turn away. Visibility invites attention. Invisibility removes it. By this point, you may notice a pattern. None of these tools rely on intimidation or confrontation. They rely on inconvenience. Thieves work on probability. They scan for fast wins. Every extra second, every unexpected obstacle lowers their odds of success. When faced with a choice between an easy target and one that requires effort, they always move on. This is why layering defenses matters. One trick helps. Several combined create resistance that isn't worth challenging. These strategies don't make you paranoid. They make you prepared. They allow you to focus on the experience instead of constantly guarding your belongings. When your gear quietly works in the background, your mind stays present. Travel becomes lighter, calmer, and far more enjoyable. And when thieves pass you over without a second glance, you'll never know how many problems you avoided simply by making yourself inconvenient. That quiet confidence is the real payoff of this system. When you stop looking like an opportunity, travel changes completely. You no longer scan every face with suspicion or tense up every time someone brushes past you. Instead, you move with intention, knowing that even if someone tried something, the reward wouldn't justify the effort. Thieves don't gamble, they calculate. And every layer you add shifts the math in your favor. One of the most important lessons I've learned over the years is that security isn't about one perfect item. It's about stacking small disadvantages against someone who relies on speed and simplicity. A thief expects zippers to slide freely, bags to lift easily, straps to snap instantly, and valuables to sit in obvious places. When those expectations fail, the attempt collapses. They don't adapt in the moment. They move on. That's why I never rely on just one defense. A hidden bag alone helps, but combined with clipped zippers, it becomes frustrating. A cable lock alone is useful, but paired with visual camouflage, it prevents the attempt entirely. Even the decoy wallet works best when it's part of a larger system. Each piece reinforces the others. Together, they create uncertainty, and uncertainty kills crime. This approach also keeps interactions calm. If you're ever confronted, the decoy wallet allows you to comply without panic. If someone tests a zipper, the clip buys you time to move. If someone reaches for a visible object, the dummy removes the reward. None of this requires confrontation or awareness in the moment. The protection exists before anything happens. Over the years, I've watched travelers lose everything in seconds because they assumed theft was random. It isn't. It's selective. Criminals choose based on ease, visibility, and escape. When you remove those factors, you disappear from their list. That's the goal. Not to be invincible, but to be forgettable. These habits don't weigh you down or complicate your trip. Once they become routine, they're effortless. You clip zippers without thinking. You place the dummy phone automatically. You secure your bag before sleeping as naturally as locking a door. The system fades into the background, and that's exactly where good security belongs. In the final part, I'll explain how all of these choices come together, why my zero theft record isn't luck, and how you can adapt this mindset to any destination, whether you're traveling for work, leisure, or your very first international trip. This mindset is what ultimately separates prepared travelers from unlucky ones. My decade-long zero theft record isn't magic, and it certainly isn't bravery. It's the result of understanding how theft actually works and refusing to play the role criminals expect. Thieves follow patterns. They look for exposed value, quick access, and an easy exit. When those elements disappear, so does their interest. Every tool I've shared exists to interrupt that pattern in a quiet, predictable way. What matters most is consistency. Anyone can be careful for a day or two, but real protection comes from habits that don't rely on constant vigilance. When your setup works automatically, you don't need to stay on edge. Your energy goes back to enjoying the trip, noticing the city, and staying present instead of guarding your belongings. That's when travel feels effortless again. These strategies work anywhere because they're based on human behavior, not location. A crowded subway, a busy market, or a quiet hotel hallway all present the same opportunity to someone looking for an easy target. The difference is whether you fit the profile. When you don't, you blend into the background, not because you're hiding, but because you're inconvenient. If you take nothing else from this, remember this principle. Theft thrives on speed and certainty. Remove either one, and the attempt fails. Remove both, and it never begins. That's why even small choices matter. A cheap-looking strap, a clipped zipper, a hidden bag, or a decoy item can quietly save you from hours of stress, lost documents, and ruined plans. You don't need to buy everything at once. Start with the habits that fit your travel style. Add one layer at a time. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Every added obstacle shifts the balance further away from risk and closer to control. So before your next trip, ask yourself one simple question. If someone were scanning the room right now, would you look like an easy win or a waste of time? Make the answer obvious. If any of these strategies stood out to you, let me know which one you'll try first. And if this guide helped you rethink travel security, support the channel by liking the video and subscribing for more practical, experience-based advice. I'm here to help you travel smarter, safer, and with confidence. Safe travels, and may everything you bring with you return home exactly where it belongs.